Hello everyone, I'm Hunter, you're watching Unexpected History, and these are 5 crazy things people have done. The first place we visit is New York City, more specifically Manhattan, in 1956, when one Thomas Fitzpatrick stole a small plane from the Teterboro Airport in New Jersey, landing it perfectly on a narrow Manhattan street, while drunk no less, coming to a stop in front of the bar where he'd been drinking, all to win a bet. He was fined a grand total of $100 for the stunt, but no jail time, as the plane's owner refused to press charges. As if that wasn't crazy enough, slightly more than 2 years later, he pulled off the same stunt to prove to another man that it could actually be done, and had been done, by him, and he was drunk again. He was sentenced to 6 months in prison for the second stunt. Appropriately enough, the mixed drink late night flight is named in his honor. Next, we travel to the Mediterranean. In 1968, Italian engineer Giorgio Rosa built an island 6.8 miles or 11 kilometers off the coast of Italy, declaring himself the president of the independent nation he named the Republic of Rose Island. Rose Island had its own currency, language, commercial establishment in the form of a bar, and even a post office. Unfortunately for Mr. Rosa, the Italian government didn't take too kindly to what they perceived to be an attempt to raise money from tourists while avoiding paying taxes on that income, and they occupied the micronation about 2 months after its founding, eventually destroying it in February of 1969. Moving back to the US, John Aristotle Phillips was an underachieving undergraduate at Princeton University. Besides playing the school's tiger mascot at Princeton sporting events, he's most famous for designing a nuclear weapon in 1976, using nothing but publicly available information in an attempt to prove he deserved to stay at the school. He even built a mock-up of the bomb in his dorm room. Phillips became a minor celebrity, nicknamed the A-Bomb Kid, when, in 1987, in an event that was addressed on the floor of the United States Senate, an unnamed official attempted to buy his design for the weapon. Although there is some debate as to whether his device would work as designed, at least one notable expert in the field of nuclear explosion engineering, which I didn't realize was a career path one could take, Dr. Frank Chilton said the design was, quote, pretty much guaranteed to work, unquote. The FBI later confiscated both the mock-up and the term paper Phillips wrote detailing his process. Moving north to Canada, in 1993, Gary Hoy, a Toronto lawyer, plummeted 24 stories to his death while attempting to show a group of visitors that the Toronto Dominion Centre's building's window glass was unbreakable. In a cruel twist of fate, the glass remained unbroken when Hoy twice threw himself against the window that day, but the window frame was decidedly not unbreakable, giving way the second time, sending Hoy hurtling to his end. Once again, we return to the United States, this time in Maine. In 1845, Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup was first compounded by Mrs. Charlotte Winslow as a medicine primarily for teething babies. That itself isn't all that unusual. Many people have peddled home remedies for various ailments from time immemorial. Some worked, some didn't. What puts Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup decidedly on the crazy side is that it had 65 milligrams of morphine per fluid ounce in it. I'm sure it was effective for teething pain, but it was killing many of the children it was meant to help. In 1911, the American Medical Association listed the syrup in the baby killers section of the publication Nostrums and Quackery, but it still took until 1930 to pull it from store shelves. The last place we'll visit remains the United States, but before it actually became the United States. Let's cast ourselves back in time to the American Revolution. In early 1782, someone using the name of Timothy Thayer enlisted in the Continental Army, but failed to report as scheduled to join up with his unit. Thayer was then forced to repay the enlistment bonus that he'd already been paid, or at least the part of it that hadn't been spent, and that was the end of it. Or was it? In May of 1782, one Robert Shurtleff enlisted with the 4th Massachusetts Regiment, being assigned to the Light Infantry Company. For those who don't know, light infantry companies were considered the Continental Army's elite troops, specially picked because they were taller and stronger than the average soldier. In Shurtleff's first battle outside Tarrytown, New York, Robert sustained 3 wounds, 2 musket balls in the thigh and a cut on the forehead, and was taken by a fellow soldier to a nearby hospital. After a doctor treated the head wound, Shurtleff left before getting treatment for the leg wounds. While able to remove one musket ball with a penknife and sewing needle, the other was too deep and was never removed. Several more battles followed. Shurtleff was later sent to Philadelphia in the summer of 1783 as part of a unit under the command of General John Patterson tasked with suppressing a rebellion of soldiers protesting for their back pay and discharges from the service. The Army was still in uniform because no peace treaty between Great Britain and the fledgling United States existed, leaving the two countries technically in a state of war. While in Philadelphia, Shurtleff became ill and was taken to Dr. Barnabas Binney for care. That care presented a problem for Robert Shurtleff. He was actually a she, a woman named Deborah Sampson. Dr. Binney, while initially and quite understandably shocked, didn't immediately notify the Army of Sampson's deception, instead moving her into his house so his wife and daughters could care for her, with the assistance of a female nurse. After the Treaty of Paris was signed in September 1783, the date of November 3rd was set for the Continental Army to finally discharge soldiers. Dr. Binney asked Deborah Sampson to deliver a note to General Patterson. That note revealed Sampson's secret to the Army, but instead of being reprimanded, as other disguised women in the Army had been, the general honorably discharged her and gave her enough money to get home. Married in 1785 and becoming the mother to 4 children, one of which was adopted, in 1792, Sampson sought the pay that the Army had withheld from her due to her gender from the Massachusetts state legislature, which granted her petition. John Hancock, Massachusetts governor, signed it himself, £34 plus interest going back to her 1783 discharge. Despite giving paid lectures about her military life starting in 1802, and giving demonstrations of complex and physically demanding military drill and ceremony routines in uniform, Sampson and her husband frequently needed to borrow money from family and friends to make ends meet. One of those friends was Paul Revere, who, in 1804, wrote a letter to U.S. Representative William Eustis of Massachusetts on her behalf, inquiring about Sampson receiving a military pension. Although such a thing had never been requested before, let alone attempted, in 1805, Congress approved a pension of $4 per month. In 1816, Congress also approved an award of $76.80 per year for each year going back to her 1783 discharge. Deborah Sampson, once known as Robert Shurtleff and Timothy Thayer, and the first woman in the United States to receive a military pension, died of yellow fever on April 29, 1827, at the age of 66. Thank you for watching. Please give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe or follow Unexpected History for more just like it. Until we meet again, I hope you have a great day.